Hello, everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion about discovering the power of knowledge. My name is Tabitha Ishman, and I'm the marketing manager of Excalibur Data Systems. And I just wanted to welcome all of you to our webinar today and then talk about a few logistics before we go ahead and get started. The lines are muted and the webinar is being recorded. The recording will be sent via email to all participants tomorrow, and we'll answer questions at the end in a Q&A session, but you can ask questions at any time during the presentation just by typing them into the question section. And I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about Excalibur Data Systems. We are a leading edge consulting firm guiding organizations through their digital transformation journey. And we're very excited to have our panel here today from some great companies that we work with and partner with. So to get us started, I wanted to introduce our moderator, Mike Fuson, VP and Senior Solution Architect of Excalibur Data Systems. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Tabitha. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I want to introduce our star-studded panel. We have with us today Nicole Dufresne from Cherwell Software. Nicole is the Community and Knowledge Manager at Cherwell. She joined Cherwell in 2016 and worked her way up from KCS candidate to KCS coach and all the way up to the Knowledge Manager. Being V6 certified in KCS practices and having a project management background, she's focused on developing the knowledge platform, accessibility, training, and overall knowledge initiatives. Having a solid understanding of how knowledge management can influence business performance, she works with her team to promote organizational learning and building a solid self-service strategy for Cherwell's customers, partners, and employees. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for joining us.
Hello. Thank you.
We also have Jim Ramlall with us. Jim is a business tool administrator for DealerFX with over 30 years of experience within IT. He is responsible for integrations between multiple systems within DealerFX. Jim has been a CSR, frontline support for Sabre, and a service and change manager in different environments and profiles within multiple companies. He's worked with 4 different knowledge management systems, but he has found that ComAround, which is the current platform that Jim's using, to be the most user-friendly. Thanks for joining us, Jim. We also have Heléne Källgården, who works as a knowledge management trainer and consultant at ComAround. She is one of only 30 certified KCS trainers worldwide and specializes in implementing KCS as a methodology for knowledge management. Thanks for joining us as well, Heléne.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to start off and talk about, has KCS really changed the game? Now, what is KCS? How is it changing the game for you guys and your organizations? And has it changed the game for your organization? And what was one of the greatest challenges in getting KCS adopted? Nicole, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So what KCS is, it's exactly the opposite of what we're used to in IT, which is more teamwork, more knowledge sharing. You know, what you know is what everyone else knows. We implemented KCS when we started to implement it in 2015, so it was somewhat established before I started. But how it's really changed the game is how you can make your knowledge accessible to not only your internal users, your analysts, but your customer base as well. And so as far as KCS changing the game, we've made accessibility to our knowledge articles through multiple different channels. You can go to our help, you can go to our community, you can go to our portal, and then sometimes we'll just send it through the email to you. So that's actually increased our self-service usage by about 12% steadily. And if you want to change that into numbers and talk about how it's changed the game, we've saved about $96,000 last year just by making that knowledge accessible to our customers. So that's probably the biggest reason that knowledge is as popular as it is because, you know, why not? You know, let your customers come in, let them look through, and just keep filling in the gaps as they come.
Jim, what have you seen at DealerFX?
From the time that we've implemented KCS, we started around 2018 with the KCS model. And from that, we've actually seen, again, a reduction in dollar figures and spend and savings on that end. The overall population internally and externally to us has grown using the model as well. So from an organization standpoint, it actually helped develop the tool that we're using or helped us with our output of data.
Excellent. Heléne, you work with a lot of companies to get this implemented. We've talked, you know, we've heard from Nicole and Jim about how it's changed the game for their companies. And I know we could have a whole panel of other folks and they're going to probably share some of the same thoughts and examples of what it's done. What's one of the things that you've seen as you've worked with your customers as being one of the challenges in getting it in?
I mean, I would say that there's not just one big challenge or anything, and it varies a lot between organizations, definitely. Some organizations, for them, it's the culture change, you know, sharing knowledge and collaborating rather than having and keeping your expertise within your area. Maybe that is something that's been valued over years in the organization, and now you're suddenly supposed to share it with others and start working in other areas as a support person. That can be a big change. Another change can, of course, be that you need a new platform, new tools, new processes that requires a completely different setup. And a change of tools and infrastructure on the IT side can be a big challenge, and it can slow you down for a while and so on before you sort of get up to speed. But I do see that, I mean, since KCS as a methodology has developed over the last, well, it's almost 30 years now, and it's a best practice methodology. So it's being sort of nurtured and developed by KCS practitioners. That's also why it sort of follows the way that service and support looks today. So it was, of course, completely different 25 years ago when on the technology side, everything was very different. So I think that as well is sort of, it's not such a big challenge to sort of blend into the way of thinking, but I think the challenges is quite different for each organizations. I mean, I work with public companies and municipalities, and the challenges are different for them, completely depending, you know, if you know, there isn't budgets for things maybe. So you'll have to just sort of go with the flow anyway. And some organizations, there are big budgets on the tool side and on the training side and so on. But then, for example, you have your outsourced support. So that can be a challenge just because you're asking someone outside of the organization to contribute with their knowledge. So I would think that the challenges are pretty different between organizations, but it's definitely a game changer. And I think it's nice to hear your sort of figures, Nicole, because I think that's more, it's very something you really can sort of, every organization can relate to. How nice to sort of save that much money. You could do something better for it than just picking up the phone and answering emails.
Excellent. So what about business outcomes and what you see competitors doing in the market? How has effectively using knowledge impacted your business? And are you seeing others in your industry embrace knowledge as an outcome driver? And, you know, why or why not? Why do you think that's happening? Jim, do you want to get us started on this topic?
Sure. In the past, for our dealers and customers, the idea of knowledge sharing was taboo. Right? That was the case forever. Once we started implementing the change process from our perspective, we saw that the management team bought into the KCS model, and expanding that to their other departments started to grow effectively on increasing the knowledge transfer. So it was no longer taboo to keep all that information to yourself. It was more beneficial because the businesses would see the benefit of actually sharing that information. That's one of the biggest things that we've seen with the KCS model out there. It's not only helped us in the environment that we're in right now with COVID, it started to grow or snowball even more because now people are actually willing to share and dive in deeper into the other parts of their business and say, okay, what's really needed, or what information do you have that can help us along the way?
Nicole?
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. Effectively using the knowledge just means quicker access to it. Pretty much along the same thing that Jim said, is trying to get those who with the knowledge to contribute to it. Sometimes your analysts are willing to do so. Sometimes you gotta have, guide that hand a little bit. We recently restructured our support analyst into more of a diamond shape instead of tiers. And so one of the requirements that we are making is that if you want to move from a tier 1 to a tier 2, then every single one, we're going for 100, we're not going to get it, but we're going for 100% link rate. So there's just effectively using the knowledge, meaning putting eyes on it. You want to review it before you send it. You want to leave it better than it was. And if you can't find it, then you need to make it there so that you have it linked. We don't ever want anything to go above them without having a linked article. So we've got lots of statistics behind effectively using it, whether they're finding it. We're starting to see the creation rate drop a little bit and the link rate increase. So I think we're really close to that sweet spot where we've got articles for most of the common issues that we're seeing come in through support. And I know that others in our industry are embracing the knowledge as well. My teammate and I went to the KCS World Tour back in March, and there were our competitors were there, and we all have the same goal. We all have, all the commonalities. We're all trying to do the same thing, which is to reduce mean time to resolution, to save our analysts money so that they can focus on harder questions, free up some time for more training, and then we also use that knowledge as something that we can translate into enhancements for our own products as well. So it's definitely slowly becoming embraced. I remember the day that I passed my KCS exam, I put it out on Facebook and everyone's like, what does that stand for? So I think it's becoming a lot more popular than before because there's more people using it, there's more statistics around it, and it's helping a lot with the buy-in.
Yeah, I can say from my experience as well, as a Cherwell partner and as a partner with ComAround, one of the things that we've been working on as Cherwell partners is the Cherwell partners have kind of gotten together as a consortium to start to build some of our own knowledge. Not so much the support knowledge that we get from Cherwell, but some of the different things we all do that are best practices, or, and working with customers on implementations, or you have a customer that wants to do something that's a little different than everything else, not work. And although many of us compete with each other, it helps make it helps make the industry better, makes us all be able to deliver better. When you're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that way. When the information is able to be more freely shared, and with platforms like ComAround and other platforms that are available, it makes that sharing of information. I think of communications with Cherwell, as you talked about, kind of that multi-stemmed approach, right? As we're looking for something to see if somebody else has run into something, is it in the knowledge base? Okay. maybe I'm not finding it in the knowledge base, but is it on the community site? Because there's a lot of good community information that's out there. Okay, I'm not alone. We're not weird. Somebody else has run into a similar sort of situation, and there might already be, hey, we found it. It's this article. And so you get into that. And KCS kind of breeds to organizations kind of that community sharing of information, not only internally, but also as you start to look at it externally in your customers and your partners that you work with. We're all able to share together because, you know, we get kind of the answers to the common stuff that we see every day. Like you said, that kind of reduces that mean time to resolve, gets things done quicker, but it's those more obscure items. And what are the steps that we need to go through to narrow it down or whatever that may be. It's been really, really great to see what has continued to grow as a just kind of a community effort. You know, and you're leading all of that, which, you know, and congratulations on your award, by the way, KCS.
Thank you.
Nicole was honored as one of the, I forget the exact award, but, you know, goddess of knowledge is what I like to call it. But it's been great to see what you've built for, you know, those of us that are partners. And I know, Jim, you're a customer of Cherwell as well. The resources that are out there for all of us to consume, and it, like you said, it's not just one resource; it's many resources to make us all better. And I think that's what makes the real business outcomes super effective for everyone. Now, Heléne, what have you seen as well as the impact that effective knowledge can really have on a business? I know at ComAround, you guys have seen some pretty phenomenal success stories.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we have a very wide range of customers, of course, from, I mean, I mentioned municipalities to large enterprises and so on, and all over the globe. So very, very different and varied types of organizations. And I mean, this year, I must say, has been, like you were mentioning, Nicole, you know, like KCS and working with knowledge management has become more popular, and we can see that. But I think it's also because of, I think people have, or organizations have got their eyes open in terms of it's something that we do need. We cannot work like we do, and we could see that in the spring. So obviously this year is very special in all senses. And in our tool with our hundreds of customers, we had in April an increase across the board for all our customers, an increase of views on their knowledge articles by, I think it was 120% over 1 month. So of course, that's when everyone was transitioning into working from home. Suddenly you need to know a lot of new things, and you need them now. You cannot wait for a week or not even a day, because you still need to work. And like the number of views on articles for Teams and Zoom and all these communication platforms, people had to implement as well, like over a few days. Maybe it was planned for in 2021, and now you suddenly have to just do it. And when people are not in the same room, you cannot share knowledge like you do. You're discussing, you know, over the table or in the corridor or whatever. So here it was like, well, I'm sitting here now. How do I log in? How do I download? How do I get access rights and everything? And as a trainer as well, I've seen a huge increase in the demand for training in KCS. So I had, I think, in the first 5 weeks after the summer, I had as many students taking KCS training as I usually have in 6 months. So I think things have changed, and I mean, I wouldn't imagine that it's gonna sort of go back to anything that we had before. Not in terms of knowledge. I hope that we can go back to the offices, but I think now people are starting to sort of see that, you know, we cannot have individuals with their expertise only. It's actually our organization's knowledge. We need to gather it, we need to share it, we need to see it as our biggest asset. And that is the sort of the whole sort of perspective from the KCS as a methodology. Knowledge is your biggest asset. And of course, if you see it as that, it will have huge impacts on the organization, on everything you do, everything from, like you mentioned as well, like improved products and services, customer experience, customer employee happiness, and all these things. You can spend your time on the things that you're good at, and you can reduce the number of errors that you have or the trouble that your customers may have, because no organizations are free from any sort of issues or problems or questions. We will always get those, but to learn from the interactions and do something with it to improve our organization, I think that is sort of, I hope that's going to be in focus for many organizations and more moving forward. And of course, I mean, building for the future as well. Now we're here, we have this digital way of working, and I don't think it's going to go away. It's going to just be more of it. So we need to gather the knowledge that we have and make the best of everything that we know in our organizations.
Yeah, just to add.
Have you guys seen? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
So just to add to Nicole and Heléne, what we've seen internally is that the service desk is not, again, tiered as it was before. Because everyone is working from home, they're actually sharing more information. So this is one of the things that they're building on out in the field as well, or where there's distancing and they're not allowed to actually go and tap the guy on the shoulder and say, hey, how do I fix this problem? Now they're relying on the data that's in the system. So more and more information is actually getting pushed out there. Thank you.
Now, do you see, we've talked a lot about more of what I'm going to refer to as IT knowledge, right? Technical knowledge. Are we seeing in organizations knowledge also be used? And again, this is to effectively impact the business in other areas of the business, like HR or facilities or other things, where I can think of, just in HR, imagining being an HR person, and there's certain questions you probably get 10 times a day, and how easy that could be a knowledge article. Is that something you guys are seeing as well? Is that it's starting to broaden, really be understood that knowledge is just not an IT thing, knowledge is an organizational thing?
Yeah, we actually just implemented HRSM into our product, which has an object for knowledge articles specific to HR. So the employees can go in, there's what's the calendar, what's the org chart, what's this, what's that. The portal was built out to list out the top 10 requests or questions so that there's quick links there. We use it for just searching whatever we need for HR. And then if it doesn't exist, they are making an effort to make it exist, which is the KCS methodology of sharing the knowledge. So we also have multiple portals, even within our support organization. We've got onboarding, we've got internal things for the community so that my teammate and I can perform our admin duties and reporting. We've got internal support management use cases. We've got internal articles for very specific customers of ours, because maybe their setup is just a little different, and if you want to do this, then you have to do it this way instead. We've got a portal for our partners. It's also internal, but we support our partners slightly different than we support our customers. And it's just great to see all those different portals. And until we had that, because we just had the one portal, but until we started branching out a little bit more, I don't think it was really looked at as anything outside of IT. But now that we can share our knowledge on just general things, a lot more people are interested in it, and we can see the use of self-service internally and externally has been going up.
Jim, are you seeing the same thing out there?
Absolutely. The volume of uptake as far as documentation is concerned has gone up. Just to give an example, when we started developing our product or our knowledge base, we had about 300 documents. That's just internally. Today we have over 3,000 documents. Now, that may not be big for certain companies, but again, that encompasses just internally to us. External customers to us actually come into our site and they contribute to that knowledge. That's actually grown quite substantially as well. And that number I can't give you because it's quite large and it keeps growing every single day. But we're over 10,000 records on that side. Using the tool or KCS methodology or platform, let's call it, this is where a sharing becomes much more user-friendly. Internally, it was before it was, you walk over to HR and you ask your question or you send them a quick email and away you go. Now, they're not readily available, or if you want to know the information at 9 o'clock at night, you go into a database and you find the information there. So it has grown in that sense. A lot of information is actually being shared more robustly throughout the system. And the upkeep of that knowledge now becomes much more important, where contributors are able to update the information on the fly. Right? You're not waiting 3 weeks as you first mentioned, or in the past where you'd wait half a year and then see the document that it's live. Now you're actually seeing it and you'll see it change, sort of like a wiki, but better. I wish some of, as a customer to ComAround and to Cherwell, I wish some of our other partners or customers that we deal with had the same methodology, because then we could actually get more information from them or give them. Right now it's just emails or text messages to the person and then hopefully it gets back to the document that they have out there. So that's a good driver from us.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, I
strategies and
totally agree. In terms of the customers, the new customers that we have had this year, from day one, other parts than the IT support have been part of the implementation from day one. It didn't used to be like that. So definitely other types of business support areas, and I'm always, I'm thinking a lot from the customer experience perspective. And if you are a customer, no matter who you are, but especially maybe if it's internal, you're working in an organization, why should you need to know where to go if you have a question regarding your PC, or if it's your pay or whatever? Why should you know how that is classified? Going to one place to get help would make more sense. That is a great customer experience. It's more common if we're looking at sort of external support for end users, consumers of our services, but even internally. So I think the more that you can have into your knowledge base, being a single point of contact for your employees, if you have internal support, I think the better. Everything is very tight together now as well. If we're talking about the changes that we've had this year, so what is an HR question and what is an IT question? It's not always obvious. So I always say that, if they turn to IT support or support with questions that are not something that they should answer, but that is a good sign. That's a sign of trust. They feel that, they come to you because you usually help them. So why don't you answer it? Why should you always send them away somewhere else? Why don't you just include it in here and have a contribution from the other parts of the organization instead, and make it easier for your customers rather than harder when you have the technology there. Also in terms of sharing, we have everything there. You can share it, you can make it seamless. There are no excuses today, but maybe time and sometimes also money. But otherwise it's there. So I think it shouldn't be any, the challenges are not that big anymore. and to make it a good customer experience.
Excellent, excellent. What are some of the strategies to overcome challenges in your organizations as you are embarking on this? I like to call KCS a journey because it's you're kind of always on that path, and the path has twists and turns and all kinds of fun scenery as you go along. But what are some of the challenges that you had to overcome to effectively implement knowledge? Do you have any advice that you might offer on getting started? And how did you get upper management involved in doing that? Nicole, can you start us out on this one?
Sure thing. So 3 of our biggest challenges, the first one being bandwidth, because up until last year, it was just me. I got a teammate, she's awesome. And what she's really focused on is the reporting aspects of it. And what that's been able to do is show that it's working, so that each time, maybe once a year, we'll redo our training. You know, say we'll look at last year's training and say this wasn't as relevant as we thought it would be, so let's focus more on this. And we always like to bring in the reporting aspects or the metrics, you know, money saved, how much time this can save each analyst, to get the analyst to buy in. Accessibility, which we kind of talked about, we've worked through that for the last couple of years. You know, where can you go to get knowledge? We have 4 different portals right now that have knowledge within them. And so our next step is, how do you tie them together? You know, is there some sort of federated searching that we can do, where you go any of these portals and you can do a search, and that'll give you the same thing as if you were to go into this other portal and look for it. So if we can show that the sharing of knowledge, because it's accessible, it's there, we can get our analysts to add more to the knowledge database and do more reviewing of it. As far as adoption, what we started to do is focus more on the new hires. Like, you can almost tell who wanted to guard their knowledge and who just wanted to learn the ropes. So we really started focusing on those that wanted to write, and they were outperforming, you know, other teammates. And then we would really focus on the new hires, because they don't have any bad habits formed yet. So we would just show them the proper way, the way that it's supposed to work and the work flows, and then it just became natural. That other challenge is just the changing of the culture of the sharing. So I know a lot of our support analysts were familiar with the methodology, maybe not KCS in the name, but at some capacity has served as a knowledge worker at some point during their support careers. So what we try to do is build a teamwork culture by just encouraging article feedback, showing the team that it's helping our customers, and just by making that solution available. It doesn't matter how one-off you might think this is. I can't tell you how many times I found an article that was close enough. And even though it didn't tell me the exact solution, it got me to maybe the screen where that one field was, you know. So you have to write in the customer's context. And then lastly, we come back to the metrics. And I can go down the rabbit hole with this, but I won't for time's sake. This is something that we were really struggling with, but we have KCS metrics and we have support metrics, but you have to marry them if you want to get team leads and management on board, because, you know, while my coworker and I are more focused on getting the information out, finding those gaps, filling those gaps, training the analysts, the team leads are more like, you know, how quick can you solve this issue? Why do you have so many tickets in your queue? You know, and so what we did is we built out an analyst scorecard. So it's got multiple filters on there, and it's just a quick view of what your analyst stats are. I can't share it, but we've got link rate, we've got team link, we've got top linked articles, and a lot of this gives us additional information. We can see if there is a top article on Cherwell SSO. Maybe there's a gap there. Maybe we need to do something better in our products. That's stuff that we can pass along. We've got our survey results, so you can see if your customer satisfaction survey results are increasing, if your MTTR or analyst response time, even initial response time. We can see the KCS specific statistics, how many articles we have and what status. We can see, based on our cause and resolution codes and our ticketing system, and correlate those with article use. And I mean, it's just, here I go down a rabbit hole. So just to know that we can pull all that information, and using date filters, you can give your management team the power to say, okay, this was your MTTR, this is your survey results, this is your articles, you know, your KCS statistics from 2 weeks ago, let's look at it today. And that gives them, it's a lot easier for them to identify strengths and weaknesses, and to give them goals and to move forward. And because a lot of the initiatives that we've done over the last year, we always reach out, we're like, let Sarah and I know how we can help with KCS. They always come back with something, and that's how we got our buy-in. We struggled at first, but once we can show that it was working, we've got all these nice dashboards that can be used across the board. We really got everybody on board at that point.
Excellent, excellent. Jim, you have some thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, our approach was we needed to get the management team on board first, and then let the process fall as the dominoes go. Without the management, from our perspective, it wasn't going to go anywhere. So when we started out, we showed them what the benefits would be in the long term. And again, when we were long term, this was mid 2017. We were thinking only 2 years down the road. But the way that our roadmap is now, we could pretty much support 100,000 users in a very short period of time. So our roadmap has exploded from their standpoint. So they were very happy because we got them involved very early and showed them what the tool could potentially do. Talking about portals, we have 11 portals right now, and they're all linked in. And as Nicole had indicated, there were 4 of us initially, 5 of us, sorry, initially, and now there's 3. So, over the development of the cycle, again, you do ramp up, and then you actually do come to a steady line where you can actually support and manage and work effectively and efficiently with less individuals. So again, that helped with the management cell portion from our standpoint.
What about overcoming the organizational change to get it effectively implemented? We've talked about that in bits and pieces. Is the organizational change required to move to KCS, or to even just effectively leverage knowledge significant? Jim, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So the way that, again, we approached it was the organizational change was little crumbs. It started out with little crumbs. Just, here's a little bit of information. Here's more information. Go get it. They weren't doing it. I mean, it wasn't being done. So from a change perspective, again, we got our management team involved and showed them the benefit of it. They then started giving them more information out, and now it's kind of snowballed. So from an organizational and implementation standpoint, you do always start out with that, those little breadcrumbs, but very quickly it can become a big pie, right, with everything on it, 12 toppings. Hopefully that gives you a good top-down knowledge of it.
Nicole, was there a significant organizational change to overcome in implementing this at Cherwell?
I don't think so. I think because before I started, the knowledge articles were searchable through just our portal, our self-service portal, and just giving access to be able to search the articles internally. I think really listening to the analysts, like what would make it easier for you to do your job? Oh, you want a search button inside of your incident. Okay, so then we can do that. What else do you want? Oh, you want the ability to quickly create an article that throws itself into work in progress, and the only thing you need to do is maybe take out some customer information, clean it up a bit, and publish it. Because, you know, one of our goals was to have all of our knowledge available within 90 minutes of that ticket resolution. That's not happened yet, but what we're trying to do is just, we encourage the organizational change by showing that, number one, that it works, and making it easier for them to do it. Cherwell is highly configurable. We can do all kinds of stuff, but sometimes too much is too much, and you need to really rig it back and make it simplified. So really just listening to the knowledge workers and what would make their lives easier to use it, then there is no excuse to use it, and they're more willing to do so, which includes flagging it and, you know, fixing articles that have issues, quickly editing, sharing, creation, resolving an incident with a linked article, and all that stuff is tracked on the back end. And that's the evolve loop that we look at, is, you know, what can we do to make it better? And then we just go around and around.
Now, how does choosing the right tool make all the difference? You know, what tools have you seen that are best of breed out in the market? What criteria help you determine what's the best one for you? And what type of questions might you ask a vendor? Nicole, you want to start us off on this one?
Yep. So it really, really depends on what you're looking to do with your information. You know, if your articles are strictly internal, you might use a different tool than if your articles were public. If you have a combination, you need a tool that lets you distinguish between public versus private and lets you set visibility maybe based on role. That's how we have ours set up. We have a public reader role, and you see what we let you see. And we've got multiple other roles on the back end. You know, if we have a partner role, we can let you see this folder, not that folder. So we've got a lot of flexibility there. If you have a large team to coach, you're going to need AQI as part of your article, making quick review work, because that is how coaches are going to coach the candidates into writing whatever your structure is, and making it in customer context and being able to pass it off as a published article. You'll need users to be able to leave feedback one way or the other, whether it's adding comments or flagging the article. You know, that way, if there's an issue that you know about it, whether it's an issue maybe with a video inside of an article, or your article just broke my system, you know, we need to find out what's going on. And then you'll also need a plan to communicate back, you know, based on that feedback. You know, do you let them know that the feedback was submitted by a pop-up or an email, or do you let them know, hey, it's been fixed? So there's a lot of different feedback communication mechanisms that you want to think through. If you're sending articles to your customers, you'll want some sort of mechanism that routes their reply back to your ticket. Otherwise, it can go into la-la land and you miss responses. A tool that integrates with more than one part of your platform would be the best. And if not, you really want to have good API documentation so that they can talk back and forth if there's not a true integration. For example, like if you're looking to implement federated searching tool, or a tool that's going to auto respond to newly created tickets, say with like relevant articles, you're going to need that API information for those architects that are building that out for you. And then I guess the biggest one is the tool just needs to allow you to easily share the knowledge both internally and externally. So those are probably the biggest pieces that you want to focus on, but there's more requirements than that, obviously. It really just depends on your use cases.
Right. Jim?
So a lot of our what Nicole has said is dead on. One of the things that we were looking at as well were ease of use from a tool perspective. And that made quite a difference in the tools that we were researching at the time. We had probably around 15, 20 tools in view. When we whittled it down, we actually went with another vendor before going to ComAround, and they lasted maybe about 3 months, and we realized it's not going to help us the way that ComAround was designed and its growth. So again, a lot of things that Nicole has mentioned, those are great points. The quickest and from a customer standpoint that we asked was your integration, right? Was it going to be able to integrate with our tools and some of our external tools as well? And the answers came back. We worked quite closely with our vendor, ComAround, and got it to work quite easily. So that was a good selling point for us as well.
Some of the things that I've seen as we, as a partner in this stuff, see from RFPs and customer discussions, you start to get into some of those. What are the kind of questions that you want to ask the vendor? What are the key elements that you're looking for? And Nicole, you made a good point. It really depends on your use case. A couple of our customers, a big thing for them is they were starting to move to a video component and being able to have video embedded in their knowledge articles. So does the platform that you're going to use to do that easily support that? And to what degree, right? When we look at a couple of these RFPs that we've worked on recently, it can get pretty deep. Do you want the platform to have the ability to let you author and edit those videos right within the platform, or do you stick them in the platform? As videos become something that sometimes is much easier for a customer to consume, where you can walk them through a set of steps to say fix something. I kind of laugh. You think about YouTube, right? I'm not an auto mechanic by any stretch of the imagination, but one of the dads in my troop, I was having a squeaking in my engine, said, "Hey, it's your pulley, and it's super simple to replace." I'm like, "You're an auto mechanic, so it may be super simple for you, but I'm not sure." He goes, "Watch the YouTube video." And I watched the YouTube video, and they took you step by step through what I needed to do, and it was as simple as he made it out to be, and I was able to handle it on my own. I was very proud of myself. But we're seeing that become more and more of a thing, and so we're seeing customers ask for that capability, the ability to embed a video, because stepping you through it may be an easier way to do it. You can still have the written instructions, but stepping them through it visually, just you think about different learner types that are out there when you're doing training. Different people are going to be able to take that information in a different way. And that's something we've seen in a lot of RFPs recently, is around, hey, can we do video in here? And some platforms do it and some don't. And so that may, based on your use case, what do you want to be able to do with that, with your knowledge management platform? And I think, as both of you said, is integrations, the ability to easily integrate all over the place. And I know Nicole Excalibur has worked with Cherwell on looking at, can we extend this out to the community? What are the other things we could do to push that knowledge out more broadly? And looking at all the different avenues and ways to make it easy for folks to consume it. And so that goes to some of those questions of what makes a solid platform, based on your use case and your needs. And so choosing the best one is going to be based on, obviously, what are your requirements and are those tools out there? I think one of the ones that I see so often as we start to move into this world of AI is natural language searching and artificial intelligence enabled searching, where what you type in, it can actually, from that kind of derive, might you really be asking about this, or might you be asking about this, and give you a nice diverse set of articles that may be more on point. And that technology, it's just scary to watch it evolve as rapidly as it has, and it gets better and better and better. And you look at many of the tools that leverage that, they have that kind of smart component about them where every time somebody asks this question, this seems to be the article that's the one they land on. So why don't we show that one first? Because that seems to be the answer to that question. So that could be a component that may be needed depending upon what your use case is. These are all things we're seeing in RFPs as requirements that companies are looking for, and that's going to tell you and steer you towards certain tools. Now, Tabitha's been tapping in my ear because there's a number of questions that have been asked. So I'd like to get to the questions. Tabitha, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you to go ahead and share some of these questions with our panel.
Yeah, so we did have quite a few questions come in. I think I'll start out with the first one. Which people in your organization need to participate in the knowledge management program?
I could go ahead and take that one. Really, the ones that you want to start with is start small with a small group, and then you want to kind of shape the way that you roll it out to everyone else. So we started off with our support team because we had a lot of the knowledge that we were sharing amongst ourselves, and so we started brainstorming some ideas on how to get that not only more robust, but to actually get it out to our customers. And so in order to get the analysts on board, we had to secure time with them, which means asking for time from their management team. So that got our management team involved. Our higher level, our leadership and support was already involved. And so since everybody was able to come together, some are quicker to, I don't want to say catch on, but adapt to a different type of methodology. We really focused on them. So as far as everybody in the organization or who in your organization needs to be involved, obviously it's your immediate team, depending on what kind of knowledge articles you're going to put out there. We have since been able to recreate our training almost on a yearly basis, based on some of the feedback and some of the analysis that we've done throughout that prior year. And then we would branch out to other departments and then almost start over. You'd have your core team that would create the articles, then you would have maybe the approvers if they were different, kind of walk them through the methodology and just continue from there. And we've seen that if you have your immediate team that you start off with knowledge, don't try to boil the ocean because you're going to stress yourself out. But if you start with your immediate team and then you can show some good improvement, feedback, some customer satisfaction surveys, that perks up the ears of other departments. So that's kind of how we did it. You need everybody from your knowledge team and then every different department within your organization that intends on using knowledge articles at some point. You just kind of want to roll it out in a manner that you don't stress yourself out, but you give yourself plenty of time to encourage feedback and make it better.
Thank you. I think we'll move to the next question, and this is, what existing processes need to be modified to incorporate knowledge management activities?
I can take that one. The way that we found our processes that needed to change was around developing the documents themselves. A lot of people have knowledge, and it's sometimes difficult to get them to write it down or put it down as a thought, or even to pass it along so that somebody could scribe it. That is one of the biggest hurdles, and it's always been one of the biggest hurdles in getting the knowledge to build. So getting the information from a user to actually put it out was one of the biggest things. The second was to ensure that the knowledge was vetted properly, right? Using the tools will actually help you bring that to fruition and quicker out there. So the back and forth between the two would definitely help, right? Knowledge creation and then the process to get it out to everyone else. The quick answer.
The quick one. Okay, so I think we can move on. We had quite a few come in. What policies will need to be changed or, okay, so actually I'm going to move to this one. So what are some new processes that you've created while jumping into your KCS journey or your knowledge management journey?
You can take that one. So some of the processes that we've had to implement for our knowledge management, it's more to, I guess, train an analyst on how to do something differently because it's part of how you solve an issue, not something that you do in addition to it. So some of the processes, most of them are workflows. Like if you're inside of an incident, you've got your ticket open, you have access to the knowledge articles, and you can do everything that you can do from if you were, looking inside of our portal to do it. Just the ease of making it part of the ticket because it's literally part of the ticket that helps shape the behavior that you're looking for. Other policies that we've had to put in place mostly surround training. We need to make sure that everyone understands our customers can see this field, they can't see this field, make sure that you use them appropriately. We've had a couple slip ups every now and then, but we also have a pretty robust coaching team. I guess we've got about 9 coaches. One of the things that we do a little differently is Sarah and I are the only full-time knowledge teammates. Everyone else is an analyst, so it's something that they do in addition to their job. But using it the way that it's intended and the way that they help us shape our policies. That's like having backup when we go to our knowledge analysts and say, okay, let's try it this way. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's where all these different policies come in. We haven't changed a lot. Some of these processes were in place when I was here, or before I was with Cherwell, and we just tweak them a little bit. One thing that we try to stay away from is overcomplicating things, because then that's just more things that the analysts or knowledge workers have to know or do, so they don't say, oh, I hope I don't do it wrong, and then they just don't end up doing anything. So you want to simplify the process. So if we made any changes to our policies, it's just to make it easier for them to use knowledge so that they get into swing of things a lot quicker.
Thank you, Nicole. I wanted to thank Brian for writing in. He was curious if you guys could share your thoughts on knowledge gaps and how you identify and eliminate them through the customer self-service journey.
Yeah, one of the ways that we see that is on the articles to view list. Within the tool that we're using, it gives you an indication of missed or typed incorrectly. So if, for example, if the person was looking how to repair a keyboard and an article came up, but it actually didn't suffice for them, they would thumbs up or thumbs down. The amount of thumbs down would actually give you an indication as to where you would miss the point on the article itself, and then you'd build out on that. One of the ways that we've used the tool is when an article is not being addressed or is not addressing the needs of the user, we'd actually reach out back to the user to say, okay, what else did we miss on this, or can you actually update the document to add in items or suggestions, right? And that has come back with quite a few things. Where we've also seen this is you'll get multiple submissions from users that are similar but quite different, and it's not necessarily the wording of the the way they've submitted it back to us, but it's how the process. We're in an automotive business, so repairing the ball bearings or oil change, on a Mitsu, from a Mitsu to a GM is different, right? The process, it seems the same. You undo the nut and away you go, but it's not. It's how you get to the filter. Where is the filter? It's behind 3 levels of engine block, right? Things of that nature. That's quite different in how you address the situation. Hopefully that answers a bit of your question.
Thank you. And I'm going to let Mike kind of close us out since we did just hit 3. I'll make sure to send out answers to the rest of the questions that came in later on.
We want to thank the audience for joining us. I want to thank Nicole, Jim, and Heléne for giving of their time to share their valuable knowledge and insights with all of us. Feel free to contact us here at Excalibur for a knowledge, maturity, and assessment. This presentation will be sent out to everybody who has registered for this. So it'll also be posted soon on our YouTube channel for you to be able to share as you need. Nicole, Jim, Heléne, thank you so much. And we want to wish everyone a fantastic day.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.